Welcome everybody to the launch of the ANZRP Member Toolkit. It's great that you've joined us. We're very excited to go through this with you. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Carla Vasconi and I'm the Acting CEO at ANZRP. So we will start with an acknowledgement of country. So today we, being the ANZRP team, we're meeting in Naarm, in Melbourne, in the land of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung and the Boonwurrung Boonwurrung peoples of the East Kulin. Our work stretches right across Australia and Aotearoa, New Zealand. We acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of country of all these places and on the land that we work throughout Australia and Aotearoa. We pay our respect and thanks for their ongoing care for country and leadership. We engage and collaborate with Indigenous communities around Australia and Aotearoa, working in partnership of some of the remotest locations to provide access to e-stewardship services. So in terms of the agenda today, just before we start, we've developed this member toolkit as a result of talking to a number of you over the last couple of years where you've expressed a desire to access some stories, case studies, stats, figures about the work that ANZRP does for you, our members. And therefore you can use this information in your internal and external communications and also in tender documents and the like. So we really look forward to going through it with you all and receiving your feedback on it. So in terms of the agenda, so firstly, just to note that this session will be recorded. And then what we will go through is firstly the background, so why we developed a member toolkit, what is the member toolkit, how to access the member toolkit through our newly created member portal, what the main elements of the member toolkit are. We'll provide you with a short demo of the portal, go through the next steps and Q&A. So I'll now hand over to Anne Stonia, who is our Chief Marketing and Business Development Officer. And I'd like to thank Anne and the others in the marketing team, Katie and Shiva and others who have worked really hard to pull this together. So thank you, Anne.
Thank you very much, Carla. We are very excited to have got to this day. As you will see, as you navigate through the toolkit, you'll appreciate a bit of work in there, especially the Marcoms teams will really appreciate that level of work and editing iterations that has gone on. But what's really exciting is that is the reason why. Why have we actually developed this toolkit? And you may remember many of you were involved and invited to participate in some qualitative telephone research earlier in this year in February, March time. And really that often known as CX research, customer experience. And we were really wanting to understand the member experience and what was working well, where there were opportunities for further assistance. There had been, as Carla mentioned, for a couple of years, I think, murmurings about, it could be good if we had this or that. And I came through also in some brand research we did at the end of last year. But this was the first time we could really quantify it. And obviously it's a big investment of time. So we wanted to make sure we were using our time in the best way that would be most useful for members. So what came out of that, many findings, but the key one pertinent to today and the development of the member toolkit was that there was a desire from a third of members to provide communication materials to them to utilise in a variety of forums, sometimes with regards to sales and tender documents, sometimes in bids, and sometimes internal comms, and sometimes external corporate comms, whether it be sustainability reports, annual reports, or it could be in terms of social media, all levels of external comms. So we have just a little bit more detail to give you a sense. The question we actually asked in that CX research was, do you currently have your involvement with ANZRP or Tech Collect mentioned in any of these three areas: sales and tender, internal comms, external comms? And then you can see the percentage that said yes, currently we do. No, currently we do not. And then we asked, well, if you don't, would you be interested in being provided communication material? And you can see that overall around a third, a bit more particularly for external corporate comms, but it was significant. So we felt that it was worthwhile investing our time to deliver this material to our members. So what is this member toolkit that we keep talking about? Think like an old-fashioned recipe compendium where you have all those recipes with dividers. You know, you've got your entrees, your main course, your desserts. Think something like that. And that's the type of resource it is, but it's digital. So you can press on the tabs and move your way through it with the search function as well. So that is basically the format, but what it is providing is information about how ANZRP operates safely and responsibly to collect and recycle e-waste on behalf of its members. You pay us membership fees, and as a result of that, you are actually investing in ensuring that things are done a certain way. And that becomes part of your story, part of your DNA with regards to your sustainability journeys and ESG programs. So we have endeavoured to articulate this in one place so it was easily accessible so that you could utilise that to further your brand building and building your equity. It can be used by a lot of people across the business. And as many of you will know, if you've been our key person to contact, Katie has reached out and asked if you could tell us who you would like in your organisation to have access to this portal. And the reason we've asked that is because we didn't want to assume it from a security perspective, but also because it's quite broad. And some of you might be sitting there at the end of today thinking, oh, actually, I think I missed Jane, John and Jill. You know, actually they could do with benefit from this as well. So just putting it out there, these are some of the parts of the business that it could be useful for them to have access. So you can think, you know, everyone from people working on bids and tenders to people in marcoms. Of course, sustainability, that's kind of more of a given. We would expect that you would be thinking of those people, but increasingly corporate affairs as well. And we've even got a fact sheet that is specifically designed for C-suite. So it's the top line, not too much detail, but gets to the nub of it quickly. So how do you access this toolkit? We have developed a member portal. So this is very exciting for us because there has never been a member portal for ANZRP. So now if you go to the Google up ANZRP, go onto our homepage, you will see on the top right corner that there is a new button that is purple and standing out. So it'll be quick and easy. That is not the first place you go to today because nobody has actually registered in, and we'll be explaining how that happens. But after you've done your first setup and you've set up your passwords, that will be a quick way to go in. And so that is why it's essential for people to respond back to Katie, because unless we've heard back from you, you will not have access to the portal. So this looks horrible, and it's actually not as bad as it looks, and Sheba will run through it. But basically what it's saying is that you will receive this afternoon, if you've been registered by your key person in your business, has responded to Katie and said, yep, these 10 people, we want them to have access, then this afternoon they'll be receiving invitations to set up their password, their username and password. Usernames are your email addresses, and then it will give you an automatically generated password at step 3, but then you have an opportunity to change that to your own password at step 4. And then at step 5, you log in. So there you go. That's a whole lot more simple than looking at all those steps, but that's all it is. And that's the first time. Then you're set up with your own personal password, and you can keep it, probably tab it as a favourite, I suggest would be good. Okay, so now what actually is in there in that member portal? there is the member toolkit. In time, we envisage we will be able to add other things to the portal. So we've created the portal to house the toolkit, but it's not exclusive for the toolkit forever. But for now, that is what is going to be on the portal. So within the toolkit, there is a guide. And it basically advises you. I'd read it the first time, then you're probably not going to need to read it again, but it's just how to move around. What we would suggest is the best place to start, which would be with the actual handbook. And we will also ensure that we will have it quite visible when you come on there if there's been any updates. So if you've put something into a tender, for example, with some figures, and then you log back on and say, oh, there was an update yesterday, perhaps I better take a look at that and see if that would impact. You can't see that today, and that's because it is all up to date today, surprisingly, because it was kind of finished about 2 days ago. So it is up to date. We don't anticipate there'll be changes happening every day, but there will be a number of times during the year, but particularly when we get our audits done, our LCA audit, then that will have an impact on the information. Okay, so now you can see the different resources that are in the member toolkit resource area. There are sort of 5 main areas. And first of all, the big daddy of the whole thing is the handbook, what we refer to as the handbook. The fact sheets that are sitting next to it and the case studies are actually in the handbook, but the reason they have their own tile there is because it enables you to download individual fact sheets or individual case studies more easily than going into the handbook, which is where it's all there. So if we jump on to the next slide, I think we'll talk a little bit about that handbook. So there you get an idea of what it looks like. And you can see with the dividers, etc. There are main sections, probably the 4 main sections, as you can see by the different colours. Key in the first section are overviews, and those overviews, there's key facts and figures. There are an area, 1 page or pages about ANZRP, about e-waste in general, and there's a C-suite summary. So you've got a new CEO that's come in. He says, what are we doing? What are we paying this membership with ANZRP? What's that about? I would suggest you go there first. It'll make your life a lot easier and quicker to get that sort of top line summary, which gives some context about the scheme, but also about how ANZRP fits within the scheme, and also gives you some reasons as to why you're with ANZRP, why you have a membership with ANZRP versus some other co-regs. What are the reasons that support that decision? So those are the overviews. That's the first coloured tab. And then if we move on, we'll go into fact sheets. And you can see we have 7 fact sheets. It's not exhaustive. Well, it is exhaustive from today, but we are anticipating that as our members utilise these resources, we are very open to feedback about other resources that may be developed in the future fact sheets. So you can see a few here: compliance, standards, B Corp, social responsibility, reasonable access, the ANZRP sustainability plan. Now you may say, why do we need to know about that? Well, you're a member. So you're a member of an organisation, you want to see what they are doing towards their ESG goals, because that in effect is reflecting onto you as well, and advocacy efforts. And so you can see, even by the nature of those topics, that we're going to be continually updating because things will be changing. There are opportunities for you to be able to download the entire handbook, or, as I said, opportunities to get individual fact sheets downloaded and maybe sent to somebody else in another department and say, hey, but blah, 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 let's include this. So that's the second section. And the third section are case studies. We only have 2 case studies in there at the moment, but we would love to build that out. And so once again, we will make suggestions to members if we think there's a good story, but also likewise happy for you to reach out to us as well. And you can get a sense of how it doesn't give really sensitive information. It's a good news story. So you can get a sense of if you'd feel comfortable sharing that. And the idea is to inspire other members within other members of ANZRP. We're all in this to improve what we're all doing. So that's why we felt that that was important. And then we have an additional resources page. So that's basically that toolkit. In addition, remember there was a tile for fact sheets, and as I said, the fact sheets just enables you to download in a PDF format, and the case studies similarly. So that is a double up in that sense. The next one I think is I'm really excited about this one. This is a member induction PowerPoint, we've referred to it as. So if you have a new team member in your team, maybe they've joined the sustainability team and, oh yeah, I've got to tell them all about NTCRS and ANZRP and all of that. So, oh, what am I going to do? You just go here and it's all done for you. And so this actually came from an idea where there was one of our members that had somebody new joining. They said, oh yeah, I said, would you like some sort of an induction session? I could do that. And they thought that was good. And we thought, well, let's make this something that's available for everybody to be able to utilize as and when, because clearly we can't be doing individual induction all the time as everybody gets new team members. So it's a PowerPoint that you can utilize. We have also, in the case of members with programs, we have customized the data we've customized it. So it's including exactly what we're doing for you in your membership. Many of the members do not have those programs, so there's a more generic version. So it really is a 101 ready reckoner as to how your organisation is managing its e-waste responsibilities through us. The final of the areas in the toolkit resources is a profile template. And again, this came from a member actually asking if we could assist in providing kind of like almost like a reference, like could you give us a letter that kind of says about what we're doing? I think it was going into a bid or tender. And so we've developed a template that we can complete, obviously customised to the data of that member, to say this is what they're doing. And if there's a program running with that member, then that will be included as well. So if anybody's seeking one of these, then best to reach out either to their key account manager or to Katie. So that's that whole section 2. Now, section 3, the marketing people are getting very excited about, because that is all about branding. And only last week we had a meeting with one of our members who's marketing person. I was so excited. They were asking, oh, have you got any images you could share, or, you know, if the brand guidelines, oh, it's all going to be in the toolkit. So here it is, brand guides, brand guidelines, logos. And we really encourage you, you know, if a number of members have, which we love to see and appreciate being mentioned in sustainability reports. Yeah, this is a quick place to go to ensure that what you pop in there is compliant with our logos. Any questions, of course, you can reach out, but at least it is all there. And infographics and approved imagery. So I'll talk a little bit more about those, but just look down below. Have feedback or questions, send us a message. So on that page, that home page, when you come in, you will see that at the bottom. So that's a good place to also put any problems, any positive feedback or suggestions for improvement. So just diving a little bit more into the things that were included in that section, the brand guidelines, typical brand guidelines that every one of your businesses will also have, and also the logos. And those are available for PNG and EPS download. So that's some people are glazing over at that point, but the Marcoms people are not. And just please use them in conjunction with those brand guidelines. Infographics. So these infographics are in the toolkit. So it's not something additional, but what we have done is pull them out so that you are able to utilize them. It might be for internal purposes. It might be external in some sort of a post even on social media. It might be something in a sustainability report. But basically, we're just making it easy for you to utilize those infographics. And some approved imagery. So what we have done we've included a variety of images. We will add more over time, and particularly if you feed into us like, oh, would you have something more like this? But of course, we have to make sure we have authority to be giving it to everybody to be using. So that limited us a little bit in terms of what we were able to put on there. But now we've got this mindset, we'll be thinking about that as we move forward. There is one improvement that is happening in our phase 2 renovation, which we're already writing a list of things we want to do, and that is we will be providing captions. At the moment, the images are there, but we haven't written captions for each. So those will be very imminently added. So now I'm going to hand over to Sheba, who is our brand and digital marketing lead. Now, I have to say, she joined us in July, actually the end of July, to be honest, just past her 3 months. So there's been a lot of work. She's hit the ground running, and so very excited to have had her involved with this project. And she will do a demo so that you feel quite comfortable about what lies ahead when you jump on.
Hi, Anne. Thanks for giving me the handover. I am really happy to be a part of ANZRP and just adding value as and where I can. So I have already started sharing my screen just with the ANZRP member portal. As soon as after this presentation or later this afternoon, all of the contacts will get an email from our portal asking us for logging in as the account is ready. So once you get the email, you just open it. It looks like this. So the first step is to set your password, because the password that's set at the moment is just an auto-generated one, and we want to customize it to our liking. So we follow that link here and put our email in there, get a new password. Just taking its time there, shouldn't be very long. Yep. So I go back into my email. It has, it will send me another email where I have to add a password there. Oh, there you go. I saw that one. So it sent me an invitation to reset my password to my liking. I click on there and set a new password here. Yep, save password. And just let me tell you that it's just a one-time thing where you need to reset your password. Once you have your password, you can log in at the portal at any point of time. It shouldn't stop you from logging into the portal anymore. Yep, and now we are ready to log in. So once we have set up our password, it will pop up for the two-factor authentication, which should be sent on our email. And I'll say I'm ready. I will get the code on our email. This two-factor authentication is something I must say that will happen every time. So every time you log in with your password, you will have to put the verification code in as a two-factor authentication process that we follow. Didn't take that long this time. Validate and save. Voila, we are inside the portal now. This is just a sample member portal that I'm doing a round of just because all the organizations have different, so they have the same content, but they have different portals. So I've just decided to do give you a round of the sample member portal. This is how it looks like, and did give you show you around some screenshots and overview of how the portal is. So we do see guides here. This I would say this is the best place to start from, as Anne mentioned. It will give you an overview of how to use the guides, what are the resources in the toolkit, and our commitment to you, which is to constantly look out for keeping the portal updated with the content. And if there's any updates, then you will see definitely a pop-up appear up on the portal, letting you know that this is the update we've done, just to give you a heads up. This section 2 is again, so it's a big resource for the toolkit. The main one is the toolkit handbook. This handbook encompasses the fact sheets, case studies in there. So it's just a big bunch which holds all of the things together. Just flipping through it, as you can see. We can also click on these little tabs on the side to take us to different sections if we want anything particular from a section. It also has the ability to do a search. Sorry, wrong button. Oh no. It does have an ability to search, sorry. So if I want to search for a word called reasonable access through the handbook, I can look at it quickly and see where all it's been mentioned in the handbook. So yep, that's the handbook. Going back to the portal again. So if you look into the tab fact sheets, here under fact sheets, we can see that all of the fact sheets are individually available for download. If you want to say, for example, download social responsibility fact sheet to send it to one of the members or anyone inside or outside your organization, you can just quickly jump onto that one and download, save it in your files and send it. Otherwise, there's also a download all button at the bottom, which enables you to download the whole bunch together as a zip file in case you want to send it to anyone across. So there's a back to home button there, clicking on that one. Case studies. So under case studies, as Anne mentioned, we have 2 case studies at the moment, but we are looking for more suggestions and feedback from our members in case they think there's some work we've done with them and they would like to convert it into a story. We are more than happy to hear that. You can download these case studies individually here. The member induction PowerPoint. So again, it's a clickable download here. So it downloads in the downloads folder, wherever you choose to save it. I'm just waiting for it to download. Yep. Yep, that's how our member induction PowerPoint looks like. It's a resource and a hub for, as Anne said, you know, for someone who's recently joined your organization and you'd like to give them a rundown of what ANZRP does for your organization or regarding the NDCRS. So it's a good resource there. Then under the branding section, we have the brand guidelines, which are my favorite because that is something. So whenever I'm using any other organization's logos, you know, I always refer to the brand guidelines because it gives me heads up of what the colors for the brand are, what the logo, how to use the logo, what are the fonts that the company uses and all of those things. So yep, it's a must for anyone who's deciding to use any other company's logo to refer to the brand guidelines before using their logos. That's a resource. ANZRP logos is a resource where we have provided you 2 different kind of logos in full color format, the white color and the black color. So there are again 2 versions here that we've provided, the PNG version and the EPS. So Anyone who's a designer has a bit of knowledge about print and all of that would know that the EPS ones are basically used for printing purposes mainly. It's a vector format for the logo, which we can use when we are printing brochures or pull-up banners or anything stretching. When we are stretching these logos to a bigger size, and if we use the EPS, it will not pixelate or blur. Whereas the PNG is mostly used for digital work. Going back to the portal now. We also have put in there the Tech Collect logos for you to download easily in the PNG and EPS version again. The infographics that Anne mentioned, these infographics have been used in our toolkit handbook. And the way to download them is just click on those, probably just zoom in and save image as wherever you want to save it. So just save, and then you can open it from there and use it in your comms. Sorry about that. Yep, so you can just scroll different infographics from here and have a look at them and save them and use them as per needed. Approved imagery. So this is a collection of some imagery that we have put together for the use for our members. The captions for these imagery is coming up, which is in our next step under the planning for keeping the portal updated and all of that. So just the same as infographic, we click on the image and save the image where we would like it to be saved. Lastly, we do have a feedback form here. Feedback, if you want to send a message or if you have any feedback or suggestions, more than welcome. We would love to hear what your thoughts are on this toolkit portal that we have created. Take some time out, jump on to the portal and have a look, scroll through, explore. And if you're having any difficulties, please reach out to us. And I will stop sharing now and I will hand over to you, Anne.
Great. Thank you very much, Sheba. I think that's it's nice to have an overview so that, have some awareness of the type of information that is there. I encourage you to go on, because then when you are suddenly requested for something, you'll, actually, I've got an idea, it could be in there, and then you can dive in for a specific thing. So good to have a bit of an overview. As to next steps, really, for many already, step one's been done, but if not, you need to make sure that you're in touch with us to make sure that you've provided us with the list of who should have access, or it might be that you wish to add some people now that you've had a bit more of an overview today. We will also be sending out a recording today to all our members. So it may be after that people will find that they didn't attend today, but will send us their details. Upon receipt of the emails, which have been going out while we've been on this session, so you'll have that this afternoon, you'll be able to set up your password and log in and explore, and then provide us with any feedback. So just so that you know who's who in the zoo, the three of us are the ones that have been working on this project and will be your go-tos. Katie in the middle is the primary contact for troubleshooting or login issues. So I mention her first because that could be the initial thing, because you've got to get in first of all. So please reach out to Katie, or you can, at the moment you can't get in there, so just direct to Katie with her email or comms email address. And the other thing for Katie is the member profile requests. If you have a look at that and decide at some point with some bid or tender you'd like one of those, reach out to Katie. With Sheba, anything to do with the brand guidelines, the imagery, infographics, any of that whole branding section, that is the area to reach out to Sheba. And for me, it's really more broader base, like, oh, I've got this idea of this other whole different area we could go into, or maybe there's an idea of a different fact sheet, or etc. So please feel free to reach out to myself also. So we now like to open it up if there's any Q&A. People can feel free to pop their camera on and talk normally, because it's not on a webinar platform deliberately this time. We've left it open, so it's only on Zoom, so that's easy. Or if you prefer, you can pop any questions into chat. While people might be thinking about their questions, I might just move on to the next slide and then we'll come back to the questions. Just what's next? What have we got on next? So the next thing is we do have a member forum on November 21. It will be held in Sydney at Fujifilm's office, our member Fujifilm. It will be a hybrid. So if you are in Sydney, please do join us in person. There will be lunch to commence, followed by the member forum, and good opportunity to meet some other members. And then after that, there'll be some afternoon tea followed by the AGM. So that is on the November 21. If you're interstate, by all means, please join at least for the hybrid session, which will be 12:30. The webinar session, which is 12:30 until 2. The annual report will be available. We will have some copies for that available at the AGM, and we'll send out digitally soon thereafter. And we also will have a Connections newsletter December edition. So those are the key things. We have some great speakers for that member forum, including 2 members from Apple and Fujifilm. So that's really exciting to hear on different aspects, as well as Peter Brisbane from APCO, who's been very busy on the speaking circuit lately with their strategy forward. Okay, do we have any questions at all? Have we been so comprehensive that there is not even one question? Well, we must have done our job very well then. Perhaps the questions are about to come when everybody starts trying to log on. Well, if we've got no questions, then we might as well close. But thank you very much for joining today. And we really hope that you enjoy and find it useful. And we want to hear honest feedback, if there's things that you think are suboptimal, or where you'd like to see more things developed, because this is your toolkit to make your life easier in your roles in whichever part of the business you are. And do spread the news in your organisation about it when you've looked at it, because not everybody will be aware of what's in there and how it could help them do their jobs. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Anne.